I'm Peter Wood. I'm Senior Regional Analyst for the Middle East and North Africa here at Intelligence Fusion. So today I'm going to be talking about the current situation in Israel and Gaza. So on the morning of this 7th of October, around 6:30 a.m., Hamas launched a series of rocket strikes into Israeli territory. Thousands of rockets were fired and they hit as far north as Tel Aviv, as far east as Dimona. As this was going on, Hamas operatives using aircraft crossed the Gaza border wall, secured the terrain, and concurrently, drones carrying explosive devices dropped them on watchtowers and surveillance equipments within the Gaza border area. During this, Hamas operatives on the ground managed to cut the Gaza border fence and enter in using motorbikes. They quickly overwhelmed Israeli defenses and then proceeded to enter into Israeli communities along the Gaza border area. Once inside the communities, they proceeded to kill the civilians or kidnap them and bring them back to Gaza. Israel called for a state of war, immobilized its army, and proceeded to try and clear out the Hamas operatives from these border communities and quickly established a siege around the state of Gaza. It launched a massive air campaign, which is proceeding to current time of recording, and it's cut off water, fuel, and electricity to Gaza. So it's speculated that Israel will be launching a ground invasion of Gaza. Its stated aim is to eliminate Hamas from the Gaza Strip, although it's unclear how it hopes to do this, how it hopes to accomplish this task. Based on past incursions into Gaza and the suitability of the land, there's probably 3 points where Israeli forces can hope to enter Gaza with armor. That's in the north at the Erez crossing, in the south east of Khan Yunis, and in the middle at Barej, where a ridgeline will overlook Gaza City. So a ground offensive would be a big deal. It would be the first ground offensive into Gaza for many years. With the use of tanks and artillery, we're likely to see high casualties from all sides. And given the hostile population and elements of Hamas still present, we're likely to see large numbers of Israeli casualties too. So for the Israelis, the main potential danger is obviously the remaining existence of Hamas within these areas. Hamas, as we've seen, is very capable of fighting Israeli armor. We've already seen them use Kornet anti-tank missiles against armor on the Gaza front, and they have a large supply of these. They're likely to use them again, and they probably already know where the Israeli forces are going to enter. Coupled with this, Israel will have to cope with a hostile population and a high-density urban population with Hamas elements within it, who in the past have shown they will use civilian buildings and infrastructure to hide, to supply themselves, to launch attacks. Coupled with this is the difficulty of bringing out any hostages. Hamas has an extensive tunnel network where they could hope to hide these hostages. They may be spread around Gaza in general, or maybe even in foreign countries. And the tunnel networks will be used by fighters and civilians alike. In conjunction with these ground operations that Israel will be conducting, the Palestinians will likely also be targeted by the ongoing Israeli air campaign. And given Hamas's ability or propensity to hide within civilian infrastructure and buildings, civilians will likely be targeted as well. Israel has also launched a targeted campaign against Hamas leadership, and this will likely to continue if they're not already in hiding. So the main concern for Israel is if they get bogged down within a ground campaign in Gaza, other hostile entities will take advantage and attack from other fronts, the most likely being the northern border with Lebanon. Hezbollah controls the Lebanese border areas, and already we've seen skirmishes across the border areas. We've seen anti-tank missiles being fired at Israeli positions. We've seen drone infiltrations. We've seen infiltrations by Palestinian groups working with Hezbollah in the north part of the country. At the moment, these aren't escalation. They're more or less within the rules of engagement for that sort of border area between these two groups. But we might see Hezbollah, these Palestinian groups, take advantage of that. We've also seen mortar attacks in the Golan Heights coming from Syrian territory. No group has claimed responsibility, but given the presence of Palestinian groups, Iranian allied groups, Hezbollah also in Syria, we might see other attacks there. Coupled with this, we have the ongoing unrest in the West Bank. We're likely to see Palestinian groups such as Lion's Den, Jenin Battalion, Palestinian Islamic Jihad take advantage in the West Bank, and we may see clashes between settler communities and Palestinian communities. This is probably This will be exacerbated by the supply of guns to the settler communities. The Minister of National Defense has announced volunteer bans for settler and mixed communities in the West Bank, and they're likely to receive rifles from military supply. At the moment, a ground campaign seems likely. Egypt has been briefed that Israel is preparing for a long campaign in Gaza. However, if the status of the hostages changes, that will likely change the status of the ground campaign. If there was some hostage release or some exchanges happening, that would likely stall or lessen the ground campaign in some way or form. So the big fear is this will spiral from an Israeli-Palestinian conflict into a wider regional conflict. We've already seen the US send 2 carrier groups to the Eastern Mediterranean in support of the Israelis, and we've also seen statements from a number of Iranian allied groups threatening they will intervene if the US intervenes. As spoken about before, the most likely of these is Hezbollah in the north, but we will also see Iranian groups in Syria potentially join in, potentially attack US assets in Syria, and this will also be repeated in Iraq, with Iranian allied groups attacking US assets in Iraq. Coupled with this, we'll also see threats to shipping in the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. Houthi militia in Yemen has already threatened that they will intervene if the US intervenes, so we'll see shipping in the Red Sea targeted there. Also in the Persian Gulf, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard has a long history of intercepting tankers, commercial craft in the Persian Gulf, and we might see them targeted again, much like the tanker war of the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s. So here at Intelligence Fusion, we have a dedicated team of 24/7 analysts. We are constantly monitoring sources from inside Israel and Palestine, looking for timely and accurate information. With the conflicts changing so drastically and with the potential for spillover into other countries, it's important to have accurate and timely analysis. We hope to give clients the most accurate information in the shortest time possible, giving accurate information which is not always available for this type of conflict. The situation in Israel and Gaza is fast moving, so keeping on top of things is tricky. If you need help tracking the latest developments in the region or protecting your assets and people, we can discuss providing free access to the platform for you and your team. Click the link in this post to contact us directly.